because it was all an economic policy kind of thing. We're way beyond that now. The question is not deficits as a matter of economic policy. The question is much more practical than that. The question is, at what point, if we continue on these trends, the federal government will be unable to borrow money? At what point will will these policies have exhausted? It's unbelievable this is even possible. We'll have exhausted the credit of the government of the United States. You know, they're paying hundreds of billions of dollars each year to service the debt. The only reason it's that low, by the way, is that interest rates are so low. If we ever get back to prosperity, and there's really a demand for money in the private sector, it's going to drive interest rates up, and the federal government's borrowing is going to become much more expensive. Because they can't float long-term bonds anymore. It's all short-term borrowing. That's why our credit rating's been lowered. You're all aware. The bonds of the United States have been devalued by the credit rating agencies, and the only reason they haven't been devalued more is because the international credit markets are watching to see whether our government will draw back from this precipice and actually adopt entitlement reforms and actually cut spending. I think they're willing to give us until after the election. But after that, if we continue in these policies, it's incredible to me that any president of the United States, whatever his philosophical orientation, would ignore this problem. If the president just proposed a budget that doesn't even deal with it, forget about dealing with it from the right perspective, or right of center perspective. He doesn't deal with it at all. We have to cut government spending right away. We have to reform the entitlement programs. We have to reassure the credit markets that the United States is going to make its payments, and the first step towards doing that is removing Barack Obama from the White House.